keep our much needed community hubs and lifelines open. Give them a chance. Stop letting supermarkets, who again are multinational conglomerate companies, put the tax onto them for the alcohol. There's your alcohol tax coming in. You're making the same amount, but hospitality is surviving.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Beer Rep Chats With. Today I'm delighted to be joined by Dale Harvey from the Great British Pub Crawl. Dale, thanks for coming on the show.
No problem, mate. Thanks for having me, mate.
Mate, it's a pleasure. Big fan of what you do and everything. Trying to save the British local pub as it is. For anyone who doesn't follow you, and I'm sure there's probably not many, but what is the Great British Pub Crawl and how did it all start?
Oh, right. The Great British Pub Crawl was born out of a silly idea that I had back in 2022 to try and visit every pub in Nottinghamshire originally. I live in Nottingham. Nottinghamshire Live, the local paper, they put an article out saying the best 5 pubs in Nottingham or Nottinghamshire. And I'd had a beer or whatever by then. I went, how the hell do they know what the best 5 pubs in Nottinghamshire are? I bet they haven't been to them all. And Holly, my wife, sort of said to me, she's like, I think you're overthinking this. I said, no, I'm not. I said, how can they possibly say these are the best 5 pubs in Nottinghamshire if the person who's written that article hasn't been to them all? I said, I'm going to go to every single one. And she looked at me and she went, of course you are, dear. She underestimated my ability to stick at something like visiting pubs. So, it started as that. We were going to visit every pub in Nottinghamshire, stuck it on social media. It ended up growing into something quite massive. And then got to the end of Nottinghamshire, did every pub in the entire county, and we're like, right, well, I want to keep this going. So stupidly, I just said to her, I said, I'm going to change. Why don't we do every pub in the UK or every pub in Britain? And she went, don't you dare. And before she'd finished speaking, I'd already changed it to the Great British Pub Crawl rather than the Great Nottinghamshire Pub Crawl. So It was committed then. Yeah,
definitely. Just to prove the missus wrong.
yeah, basically that. Yeah, essentially that. It's stubbornness. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So what inspired you to start off, the support of the pubs and everything whilst doing the Great British Pub Crawl?
I mean, I went into pubs when I was 16 years old, which is a long time ago now. I ran pubs for 20 years. I know the industry is just getting harder and harder and harder. And the whole point of it was to just sort of shine a light on the struggles that we face on a daily basis, really, with regards to rising costs, lack of footfall going past the pubs these days, people having less money in their pockets to be able to freely spend. So the challenge is, I mean, as I said, I'm not a particular fan of the current government. In fact, I would go as far as to say I think they're one of the worst governments I've ever seen. However, we can't be blaming them for the crisis that the pubs are in, because the hospitality industry has been ignored and hit hard for the last 30 years. So it's a case of you need somebody to grab it by the scruff of the neck now and sort of actually do something that they say they're going to do to help it. Because if we lose hospitality, we lose more than just a few pubs and restaurants and things like that. We lose our heartbeat, we lose our soul, and we lose a place where the people in this country, how many of us can say we cut our teeth in the working world in hospitality, either whether it be in a kitchen or a waiting job or on a bar or something like that? So many people have learned people skills and have grown to deal with people from other societies and other walks of life through the hospitality industry. We've already taken the high street shops away. Where are these kids going to come through now? Where are they going to learn to interact with people of different ages and different cultures if it's not through jobs in hospitality?
Yeah, it's also a place where many people who are on their own get to come out and socialise with people, because obviously, mental health is a massive issue at the moment. It's, lots of people suffering from mental health, and the pub is probably the one place where people can go and actually interact with people, especially a lot of old people, it's their day, they go down to the pub, see their friends, take that away from them, and what do they do?
Yeah, it's their lifeline.
Yeah, definitely. So, how important do you think, the pub, the Great British Pub is on British culture? I mean, a lot of tourists come over. First thing they want to do is go to a traditional local pub, taste some cask beer. How important would that be for tourism if that was just to go?
Massively. I don't think there is anything more important in this country with regards to British culture, British heritage, and the stuff that the people across the world, as you say, the tourists, they come here and they want to visit stuff. I mean, we've got pubs in this country that are hundreds and hundreds of years older than America and other countries and things like that. And they want to come and see stuff like that. This is stuff that's been preserved in some cases for nigh on 1,000 years in some cities now. And we need to do everything we can to make sure that we don't lose any more of the pubs. Because, it's the knock-on effect of it. It's tourism, it's everything.
Yeah. It's crazy how, every time the government wants to raise a bit of funds, they always seem to take it from hospitality. And that seems to be the biggest issue at the moment. And they're not doing anything to help. They throw about, oh yeah, we're going to do this. The new one they just brought out recently, keeping pubs open later. What is that going to do exactly?
It's an absolute nonsense.
It's going to do nothing. Can you explain exactly why it's not going to do anything?
It's just an absolute nonsense, because at the end of the day, who's going to pay to light the pub for those extra hours? Who's going to pay the staff? Who's going to pay certainly if they're city or town centre venues? They're going to need door staff. Who's going to pay all of those bills? It's like they did it for the whatever it was, the celebration. They gave two extra hours or something, didn't they, for a few months back and stuff like that. Nobody used it. It was a Thursday night, and they said you can stay up until 1 a.m. Who wants to stay up until 1 a.m. on a Thursday night in towns and cities that are struggling already? It's nonsense, and it's a decision that's been made by people who don't understand hospitality. That's the problem with the government. There's no one there who's ever worked in it. So they don't understand it. People who've never worked in hospitality shouldn't be speaking for hospitality.
100%, yeah. I mean, whoever's advising the government on what needs to be done for hospitality needs to be sacked.
100%.
Because they're just not giving them the correct information. So you've obviously, let's talk a bit more about the Great British Pub Crawl. You visited hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pubs.
Thousands.
God help your liver, for one.
Yeah.
But have you noticed a particular type of pub that seems to be thriving versus the ones that are struggling?
Tomorrow in London, around King's Cross, I should go through pub number 7,500. Will be the milestone number I will hit tomorrow. I mean, for me, it's about beer. The pub these days, if you want to drink cheap rubbish, you can buy that in the supermarkets. You can buy cans of Carling or Foster's in crates, and if that is what you want to do.
No swearing on this podcast, please.
For me, the pubs that are struggling are the ones who are doing the generic rubbish on the taps. All right, they might be busy on a Friday night, they might be busy on a Saturday and on a Sunday. The rest of the week, why are people going to bother to go and drink that? If they want to drink that rubbish, they'll drink it at home. Yet where I go to the craft beer pubs or the cask ale pubs or the pubs who make an effort to actually put decent beer on the bar, they're busy all week long. A lot of the micro pubs that go in and said that I know they're smaller, but their overheads are less, but they are busy the whole time. And that's because people will go out to drink proper beer, new stuff that they probably can't get from the supermarket. It's not as readily available. They'll go to the pub for beer these days. And that's what I think we need to get back to basics and just say, look, make the effort with what you put on your bar, and then the people will find a way to come.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, I mean, I always go to a place where I'm not going to be able to get a beer anywhere. And like you said, Carling, Foster's, all them sort of beers, you can get them, and they're in basically near enough every pub that you see along your high street. Why is that? Why is the reason that you're seeing these these global generic lagers and beers all over the place?
PubCo. Horrific PubCos that buy buildings, run them into the grounds, put the cheapest of the cheap slop that they can possibly buy onto there. Companies like Molson Coors who bully landlords into having at least 3 products off them with the promise of cheaper Sky. So Sky aren't helping. Sky need to stop providing that to Molson Coors. Like, we'll give you can get cheap Sky discounts for the pub if they get 3 of your products, because all it's doing is forcing bad beer onto bars, because if pubs want to have the sport, Sky are charging extortionate amounts to put Sky on. And it's all sort of now in a vicious circle, isn't it? It's a case of Sky are doing everything they can to kill off the village local who's not tied to a PubCo. And Molson Coors are sort of coming in and doing the rest.
Yeah. So what's so obviously these tenants are owned by the landlords and the PubCos. They're forcing their tenants to purchase from certain suppliers, so they can only get in these certain lines in, i.e., Heineken if it's the brewery, So what? So they're not allowed to buy from any other supplier,
Nope.
independent brewery at all.
Nope.
Even though they might want to.
Well, on a very, very rare occasion, you will find one that goes against the mould, against the grain, where you have got some guest lines on. And I always ask them, I said, how have you done that? And they basically say, we bullied our area manager. We said, look, this is what we need if this pub is going to survive. And the area manager has pulled some strings and made it happen. So it can be done. But a lot of the landlords and tenants are probably scared to go up against the PubCo because they know what they'll do to them, and they know they'll probably end up on the street if they kick up a fuss. But the PubCos, they don't care. They don't care about their tenants. They don't care about the quality of the stuff on the bar. If you're doing a good job there, they'll rack the rents up. They'll rack the prices up on the barrelage, and just cream everything they can off the top. And Heineken, especially Star Pubs, is the brand of the pub side. They are responsible for more closed down sites in this country than anybody else. They will deliberately leave them closed and do nothing with them so that the building rots away, knowing that if it rots away to a certain level, they're more likely to get planning permission to sell that building to a developer at an inflated price, because the developer will buy it knowing they can put 10, 15 houses or flats on there. And this is what we need to stop allowing the buildings to rot away. If a PubCo owns a building and they're deliberately leaving it shut, that building is a community asset. That should have the community that it's in should own that. That should be forfeited back to the community, or at least some legislation that says the PubCo have got to get it back reopened for a certain length of time at least. So not open for a day, then closed again. Open for a minimum of 12 months. To try it again, to get it open as a pub, and the option should be there for the community to purchase that long before it's ever allowed to be closed and got rid of as a community asset.
Yeah, definitely. Would you think it'd be a bit different if instead of selling the lease for a potential tenant to come and buy the lease and then operate the pub, do you think it'd be different if they employed staff to run it as a pub rather than leasing it to someone else?
Of course it would. At the end of the day, if they were paying their own bills and it was a managed house and things like that, if they had to be responsible for it themselves and couldn't just heap all the bills and everything else onto the poor unsuspecting tenants, then of course they'd make more effort, wouldn't they? But that doesn't work like that for them, because they know what they can get away with, and they've always been allowed to get away with it.
Yeah, I think it's disgusting that you're selling a lease to a tenant and they're not allowed to buy or purchase in anything that they want to do is try and improve that pub to get more customers in, and support UK independent breweries as well, because obviously they're struggling as well, because obviously they can't get their beers into 80% of their local pubs in some of the areas, and I've spoken to quite a few independent brewery owners and founders and stuff, and their biggest goal this year is to stay open, to keep trading.
We've got local breweries in Nottingham just down the road from me. I said, I've spoken to them at great length about the struggles of actually trying to get their beers into the pubs. If every town and city is probably 70% PubCo owned, if not more, whether it be Stonegate or Heineken or Marston's or any of the other swear words that we could come out with, it's making it harder and harder and harder for independent brewers to get their beers in. And that's why you're seeing a lot of independent breweries now doing everything they can to try and buy a pub so that they can then put their beers on in those pubs.
Yeah, exactly, because it helps to have somewhere that sells their beer. So, I really feel for the ones that can't afford to do that and haven't got the space as well for a tap room in their brewery.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're the ones that are really going to struggle. So obviously, you started a petition, which is now run its course, to help save pubs from closing. And how did that go? Can you talk about, we reached the 12,000 signatures, I think it was. So
yeah,
got a government response.
I've got over 250,000 followers across all of my social media channels now. So we've only reached 12,500 on it is an absolute joke, really. When people clearly follow the pages and the stuff that I do to try and help support the pubs. And I think that people are so despondent with petitions these days, because you see some of these petitions blow up, they'll get millions and millions of signatures, and the government will still just turn around and go, no, we're not doing it. So I think a lot of people with petitions these days, they just look at it and they go, oh, it's just a waste of our time even signing it. So we did get it there. We got a response, which was an absolute joke, as I expected. More of the same nonsense of we're trying to do everything we can to make it easier for pubs to get licenses for this and licenses for that and stay open longer. And this is how we're going to help, and we're going to reform business rates and things like that. The sod reform in business rates need to be stopped again for hospitality altogether. It's tax. Tax needs to be the thing that we do. And this absolute drivel that you see all the time about beer duty, cutting beer duty. The only people that benefit from a cutting beer duty are the massive PubCo breweries, because they will never pass that saving on to the pubs. They'll never pass it on to the consumer. All that does, cutting beer duty, is put extra millions of pounds in the pocket of Heineken, Marston's and people like that behind this shill company called Long Live the Local, who will literally sit out there and pretend that they're on the same page as the rest of us. They're out there trying to save pubs. They are frauds. They are liars. And they are not on your side. So if you ever see an advert for Long Live the Local, shun past it or leave them a negative comment saying, you're liars, you're fakes, you're nothing. They're not out there to try and save pubs. They're out there to put extra millions of pounds in their CEO's pocket.
Yeah, exactly. Because they're, all the investors are PubCos and big breweries that help fund them. So there's your answer to that one.
Yeah.
Is it a little?
I got a bit ranty, didn't it? I went off on one then. Yeah. The second Long Live the Local or beer duty goes around in my head, it just gets to that point where I'm like, no, I've had enough of this. So.
Yeah, or if someone gives you a pint of Carling, one of them ones.
Oh, dear Lord, yeah. Or anything in a Carling glass is enough to set me off, yeah.
Oh. So there's a big statistic, between the top 5 global brands, I think it's Heineken, Molson Coors, Asahi, AB InBev. Between them top 5, they account to like over 80% of beer sales in the UK. That is a ridiculous amount of number, and not one of them are UK owned. They're all different, all foreign breweries, companies. This is a big thing why we need to get, British beer back on the map. Celebrate British beer.
That statistic you've just given as well, 80%. I mean, that then feeds through to the general public. The general public then go, well, hold on. Moretti is now the biggest selling beer in the UK, apparently. But Carling obviously was for years. So you'll always get idiots that will go, well, Carling must be good, because if it wasn't good, it wouldn't sell so well. It wouldn't be the most popular beer. But it's the most popular beer because, as you've just said, 80% of the pubs in this country are owned by PubCos. So they are forcing that beer onto their bars. And the other 20% that's made up, how on earth could something sell more when it's only in 20% of the pubs as opposed to 80%? It's
exactly. It's
madness.
It's just because it's everywhere doesn't mean it's the best. It's the best marketed, and it's the best. All the money is
and the cheapest
is being pumped. Yeah, exactly, and the cheapest. Yeah, because it's basically cost minimum. It doesn't cost much to brew that sort of beer. Obviously, we talked about micro pubs a bit earlier on and how well they're doing, minimal overheads. Do you think this could be how British pubs are going to be in the future, the way things are going, if you want to be an independent?
And yeah, I think it's a great idea, because they said the overheads are so much less. The startup cost is less. You're never going to be tied to one of these horrific companies who are responsible for so much of the negative stuff around pubs in this country and the closures anyway. So micro pubs are definitely for me the way forward. I've always said to Holly, like if I ever do go back in, if I ever go back in to running anything, it'll be a micro pub. 100% it would be a micro pub, because it would be heavy on the good beer choices and the independent breweries and things like that. So I just think that micro pubs are the future for independent beer in this country, but without a shadow of a doubt. And I just don't see all of these the PubCo owned ones. They're such big buildings that a lot of them are in old banks or things like that, or old department stores now. There's no way an independent guy could ever come along and afford to buy one of those buildings to do it. It's just not feasible. So if they are on the decline and they are going to die out eventually, then smaller premises like micro pubs are the ones that are going to be more sustainable and more likely to survive. So yeah, for me, micro pubs always is a massive thumbs up when I find a micro pub and stuff like that. I think that they are the way we're headed.
Yeah, if nothing gets sorted out to fix saving the traditional British pub, a lot of people say that if you took away the beer tie from these pubs and tenants were free to purchase what they wanted, that a lot of the pubs would close because obviously the PubCos just wouldn't want that because it's not part of their business model. Do you see that as being an issue?
Yeah, it's definitely an issue. There's so many issues surrounding it, but that probably is one of the biggest ones that we're facing out there at the moment, aren't we? But this is the PubCo thing. This is the PubCo thing.
Yeah, it's a case of getting the balance right, isn't it, to protect the tenants, but also gives them that freedom to purchase from whoever they want. And
there needs to be a change in the law, a change in legislation, as you said, to be able to protect tenants an awful lot more from PubCos. And the fact that, I mean, let's take an example of, let's use good old Humphrey Smith. I know he's not a massive pub, but he's still got an awful lot of sites around the country. Samuel Smith's Brewery, for those who don't know who good old Humphrey is. A horrific man, absolutely horrific man. But he will just go in, and if he doesn't like something, he'll close the pub on the spot. And he has the right, apparently, to just sack people on the spot, close the building, shutter it up or whatever, and give them less than 24 hours to get their stuff out of the flat and make them homeless. I've heard of him doing this 6-7 times. And there's nobody there protecting the tenants and saying, look, you can't get away with this, mate. You can't do that to people. And that's a smaller scale than sort of Stonegate or Green King or Marston's or something like that. But there needs to be something in place that says you can't get away with doing this to people.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see one of these contracts and see, read the small writing and just see
I'll send you
what's
one
in there. Yeah, because surely you would, if you wanted to open up a pub with this guy, read the small print, because if he can kick you out within 24 hours, I wouldn't risk it. Wouldn't risk it like a biscuit. You visited hundreds of pubs. What's the most inspiring example you've seen of a community fighting to save their local?
I mean, it's always awe-inspiring to see a community rally round to buy a pub. I mean, it said pub because said coming up for 7,500 tomorrow now. So pub names all roll into one for me. But I've been to quite a few villages now that the villagers has managed to buy the pub, and they're so proud of what they've done, because a village out in a stick somewhere that's got just sort of one little shop, one pub, and that's all it's got in it. They don't want to lose their pub. And then a PubCo will have owned it, and a PubCo will have said, no, we're shutting this, it's not profitable for us anymore. They've rallied round, they've raised the funds, and they've managed to get it from the clutches of the PubCo. And it's nice to see the sense of pride in people when you find something like that. You can tell that this is something the whole village was backing, the whole community was behind, making sure that they didn't lose that real sort of hub, the sense of community, the real hub of the village didn't go. So it's nice, and it can be done, and it's always heartwarming to hear the stories of how they managed to do it and what they got.
Yeah, in some of these villages, they've only got the one pub, and if that comes under threat to be closed, there's nowhere for them to go as a community to
nothing
enjoy
at all.
a beer. Was it Jeremy Clarkson quoted? Was it what's a village without a pub? Is it even a village without a pub?
Yeah, it is a Jeremy Clarkson quote. I'm pretty sure his pub counts as being in a town, but yeah, it is exactly what it was his quote. Yeah, and I do agree with it. I do agree with it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, these small villages with the one pub, but they're the ones that are suffering. I think them sort of pubs are closing down more than you see in your high streets or in the big towns and stuff. It's the small villages that suffer the most. So if anyone listening right now wants to go and help support their local pub beyond just popping in for a pint, what would you suggest they do? What can be done?
I mean, everyday Joe public, I mean, they've got busy stuff going on in their own lives. But yeah, it is a case of just making sure that you use it. If you've got a family gathering, if you've got a special occasion or something like that, make sure that you're encouraging other people from outside the village, maybe other family members or friends, come over. Just get as many bums on seats in those pubs as you can, as often as humanly possible. Help out with ideas like theme nights. I mean, I go to a lot of pubs these days that have got quizzes on, and a pub quiz can absolutely pack a place out. So in a little village like that, something like that, again, it gives the locals something to do. But local publicans in village settings don't need me to teach them how to suck eggs. They know this. They know the ways to bring their people in. A lot of village pubs do really good food offerings. So again, if you've got no restaurant for miles anywhere, the village pub is a great opportunity to stamp your mark on putting some decent food out there in the community as well. And people are always looking for an excuse not to cook. So always good to have a decent food offering.
So let's talk a bit more about what we want, what we need from the government. What are have you got top 3 things that the government needs to do to help the pubs? Let's get this message across to everyone that what needs to be done.
I mean, yeah, first and foremost, the big one, the elephant in the room is always tax. No one wants to talk about tax, and tax for hospitality in other countries is lower in a lot of European countries, especially. Tax is a lot lower for hospitality to pay than it is for the general tax rate of the country. We need to do that. And I said I'm calling for 10% for hospitality as an absolute maximum, the tax that they should be paying. So if our tax rate in this country is 20%, hospitality should only be paying 10%. Because that would make such a massive difference and help keep so many extra pubs open and actually make it profitable for guys who are working 70, 80 hours a week to keep their pub door open, to actually know that come the end of the week, they can pay all their bills and have got a bit of money in their pockets, which is the way it should be. No one works 80 hours a week to get to the end of the week and then go, don't know if I can afford to pay my bill. So tax is the biggest thing that the government can do to help. Take the tax that you're charging hospitality and bung it onto the supermarkets for the beer that's sold in supermarkets. So as a country, we don't need to lose out on that. Charge the supermarkets extra on the tax to sell the alcohol. Take it away from hospitality and keep our much needed community hubs and lifelines open. Give them a chance. Stop letting supermarkets, who are multinational conglomerate companies, put the tax onto them for the alcohol. There's your alcohol tax coming in. You're making the same amount, but hospitality is surviving.
Yeah, and mainly not even British owned either, the supermarkets that are popping up here, there and everywhere. Obviously, yeah, so as you're saying about the tax, we pay a lot more tax in most countries. I think it's like 6 to 8%, I think Germany pay. Probably not even that.
I think it's either Portugal or Sweden. One of them is something like 4 or 6% is all hospitality pay.
Yeah.
Which is man, I think the tax rate there, the actual tax rate in whichever one of the countries it was, is something like 18 or 19%, but hospitality is only 4 or 6. So
yeah,
that's what we need to do.
It's crazy how much we pay compared to the rest of the world for hospitality tax. So 5 to 10 years, where do you see the British pub heading in 5 to 10 years? I mean, I really hope that these closures start stopping, and I'm hoping that the government will put something in place come November. But
I mean, sadly, the ball is well and truly in the government's in the government's court, isn't it? I mean, I sat on the balcony at Westminster with a Labour MP called Tonya Antonazzi, who is the MP for Gower. So she invited me up to Westminster to have a chat. I took her a dossier of things that we could do. That this is what we should be looking to do. These are the stuff. She sort of said, out of the 10 things that I suggested to her, she wrote 3 of them down and said, well, this might be possible. I mean, we're talking nearly 6 months ago now. I've not seen any movement on anything that I said to her with regards to that. But the ball is very much in the government's court at the moment. I'm quite straight talking, as you can probably tell. I just said to her, I said, look, you're a Labour MP. You want to stay in power. And she was, yeah, of course we do. I said, right, well, how about helping hospitality out then? Because you're the ones who can do it now. I said, right, do you want, and I said, I'm not a political guy. I don't give a stuff who it is. If someone wants to come and help sort out hospitality, I don't care if they're red, blue, yellow, green with pink spots on. I don't care. If you want to help hospitality, I'll talk to you, whoever you are. So I don't mind if they're Reform. I don't mind if they're a Conservative. I don't mind if they're Labour, Lib Dems, any of them. I want an MP task force to just put these political things aside and say, look, for the good of hospitality, let's find a way of doing it. So I said to her, I said, look, do you want Nigel Farage to ride in on his white horse in 2 years' time, do this with his fists, fit the old fist bump and say, well, I'll save the good old British boozer.
Yeah,
And she went,
it's something he would do as well.
Yeah, she went, well, no, of course I don't. I said, well, you do it then. Because you are the ones who can do it today. You're the ones who can do it right now. So if you don't want Nigel Farage to come along and do the fist bump and say, well, I'll save the good old British boozer, that's up to you. You have the opportunity to do that right now. So do it. And she sort of looked me square in the eye and she was like, well, yeah, you've got a point. So I don't know. We wait with bated breath for the budget, don't we? But I'm not optimistic again.
Yeah, I mean, I've not been optimistic about the government doing anything for hospitality for, like you said, many, many years. No matter who's in power, they just seem to want to fill the pockets of the fat cats, and that's it. That's good for them. But at the same time, struggling to grow the UK economy, and having more local community with local pubs serving local British beers. Surely that's going to boost local communities, boost UK economy more.
It's the same argument with the farmers, isn't it? At the end of the day, buy British beef, buy British stuff. You are helping the local economy. So yeah, you're right. British beer, buying British beer helps the hospitality. It helps us grow. It helps everything about the economy. But again, we are allowing the foreign conglomerate companies to have the monopoly on everything.
Exactly that. So we're going to finish up on what's the next big plan for the Great British Pub Crawl. What's your next goal?
Nice.
What you got today off, but unfortunately
yeah,
you're not.
Well, you say I've got today off. I'm talking to you. I've got plenty of videos to cut and edit, and we're in the process of building my app at the moment. So there's an app very close to being launched, which will be called the Great British Pub Guide. It's going to have a lot of my pub crawl routes that I've done, so it'll be suggestions so very much like the app Untapped for people who like to score their beers. It's going to be a pub one. There'll be a paid version that they can have where you'll be able to follow my routes, score pubs, tick them off, get badges for having visited. But basically, I'll plan you some really, really good routes around all of the major towns and cities in this country that you can go out and you can follow. All of the pubs will be able to have access to it themselves to update their own information, their own opening hours. So no messing about with Google where you have to spend 3 weeks trying to walk around your pub with a camera these days to try and change your opening hours and prove who you are with Google. Contact me. I said, I'm going to know who the landlords and licensees are. We'll keep up to speed with it. It should be a proper directory, up-to-date one where all pubs can have access to their own page, put their own info on, and just anybody then can go on and say, right, I'm going to Birmingham today. I fancy doing 8 or 10 pubs. What's a good route for me to do? Bang, there it is for you. So that's what's coming up. That is what, again, so a day off, there's no such thing as a day off. There's a load of content to load onto that still.
Yeah. That sounds awesome.
For me,
who better to give you the information than someone who's visiting over 7,000 pubs?
So, tomorrow, obviously, the milestone, 7,500 pubs will hit tomorrow around King's Cross, which is going to be a nice milestone to hit. Bring on the next 2,500. I hope to be by the start of summer next year, I would hope to be hitting that 10,000 mark. So there's a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, it's a big milestone.
Yeah,
definitely a big milestone. What would you say is your top 5 pubs that you've visited since you've been doing this?
I mean, I can't give you 5 because at the end of the day,
top 5 areas then. Top
5 areas, easy. Liverpool, number 1.
Yes,
straight away. Liverpool is just absolutely phenomenal. There's no better drinking city that I've ever been to. I've done 10 trips to Liverpool so far. I still feel like I've barely scratched the surface. Even when I walk through the bits of the city centre now, I'll find another road with pubs on that I've not done, and I've finally got myself up to a place called Lark Lane now on the right-hand side of the city. And I mean, that is just, I got halfway along it because it's so big. I got halfway last time. It's so good. Liverpool, amazing. Newcastle, phenomenal again. Absolutely wonderful place. Sorry, Newcastle, because they keep correcting me every time I go up there. Yeah. Absolutely phenomenal. Edinburgh, Glasgow, pair of them. I can't differentiate. One's got the old history and the old side. The other's just an authentic, wonderfully big Scottish city that is just full to the brim of character and characters and personality and great pubs. I'm back up in Scotland next month for another 9 pub calls in a row stint, which will be great. And what's that, 4? And the other one, I mean, I'm going to have to say Nottingham, because Nottingham again, I mean, I know Nottingham like the back of my hand now, and to go at it for pubs, per square mile for Nottingham, it's amazing. But if it wasn't Nottingham, York is another one, phenomenal. Great. Bristol, amazing. Portsmouth, phenomenal. There's so many. We've got so many great areas and so many great pubs in this country. Just get out and explore. It's the best thing I've ever done.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's good to go to. You've got to go to a pub wherever you travel across the UK. I mean, I don't travel across the UK enough. I should do. I've not been to that many places, but yeah.
Well, you'll have to come on a trip with me one day somewhere.
I definitely will. Yeah, well, you're in King's Cross. I might hit you up after this and see where you're going to be on a certain day. Sounds good. We won't go on the top 5 worst destinations. So.
No, I mean there's only been a few where I've just said they're really struggling with sort of good quality stuff anyway. But yeah, you'll easily find those on my YouTube channel and be able to work them out for yourselves, I'd say. But yeah, it's not. I don't like being too negative about anything. Like everywhere has got its good sides and its bad sides. There are just some that need a bit more investment and a bit more help than others.
Yeah, and ones that give you a Carling glass.
Oh dear, yeah. Stop giving me Carling glasses. Stop it. Just stop it. No matter what's in it, it makes everything taste worse than the first sip. It really does.
Could be, yeah. It could be a beautiful sour from Vault City.
Yeah.
And if it's
put it in a Carling glass and it's ruined. Ruined it.
No. It's best not to have a brandy glass at all and just have a
100%. I'd much rather just have a tulip glass or something like that. Yeah, don't give me a Carling glass. Honestly, awful.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Dale, mate, it's been absolutely amazing talking to you and learning and yeah, excited about the app. That's going to be a game changer for people.
A lot of hard work and effort has gone into getting it ready. So yeah, at the moment it's just been populated with the content. So fingers crossed, a month down the line or so, it's launched and it's out there for people. So
yeah, a little soft launch just to see how it runs.
Yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan.
Yeah, it's been a brilliant chat, and we'll catch up. I'm sure we're going to catch up for a bit at some point.
Definitely.
Thanks for coming on, and yeah, we'll be back in a couple of weeks. I think we've got the next episode of the Fab 4 where we'll be talking to WHC Labs about yeast. Nice. Until then, we'll see you later. Cheers.
Thanks, man. Cheers.
Bye-bye.